So it is Wednesday today, and we are getting to do something pretty unique and pretty cool. So I am going to the local country club and actually getting an opportunity to sit down for coffee, a meal, something like that, for about an hour with a member of the country club and just getting to talk to him and just listen to his wisdom. He's an older gentleman around my dad's age, I would guess. And he I met him the other day at a church event, and he just told me that he would be willing to sit down with me and to be thinking, how can he provide value to me? Which I thought was very interesting that he would say that, considering, he is successful, he is older, he is not obligated to give anything to me, but his focus is how can he provide value to me. And so I thought on some questions that I wanted to ask him, some in the business entrepreneurial space, but others just in the life and general being a gentleman and a man of God. So I'm really excited for it. It's going to be a very unique experience. I've never really gone into this country club, and it's a pretty nice one. So I'm very excited about it. Very blessed to have this opportunity. And yeah, just been praying that it goes well, praying that God will put the conversation in his hands and just, guide it to where it can be very beneficial for me, but hopefully I can also, provide something to him. He mentioned to me that he's very passionate about entrepreneurship, so I'm hoping I can, at least provide something to him as an older man, so it's not just a one-way conversation. So yeah, I'm headed there now, and just extremely excited for it, and like I said, just extremely blessed to have this sort of opportunity in my life. So just another benefit of just, being open and just shaking hands, you know, just whenever you are out somewhere, just shake the hands, man. Shake a million hands in your life, and you never know which 1 to 10 will change your life and, give you opportunities like this. So yeah, I'm gonna head up there and I will catch up with y'all afterwards. So talk soon. So it is the day after my meeting with that mentor of mine, that I've become acquainted with, and fix this real quick. Oh, are we there yet? There we go. Yeah, it's the day after having that meeting with that mentor, and I've kind of reflected on the things that we spoke about, and kind of thought more about some of the things that he was saying, and I actually decided that what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a whole separate video going deeper into the notes of what I reflected on and kind of what I've thought about. But there's one thing that I really wanted to hit on real quick in this video, and it's the word discernment. Several times he spoke about discernment and asking God in prayer for discernment. And discernment is defined as the ability to make wise judgments and perceive things clearly by distinguishing between them. It involves keen perception, good judgment, and the ability to understand what is obscure or subtle, allowing one to separate what is true or important from what is not. And I think this is something that is really sound to pray for. I think that, just asking God to give you discernment, to give you the ability to judge the different things, the different opportunities that are presented to you in your life. I think that that's super powerful to pray for, just that he'll guide you through that. And he mentioned it several times because we talked about all different aspects of life, and he mentioned several times that discernment is one of the biggest things that he prays for, whether it be in business, his family, or, different opportunities that arise, different people he meets. He just asks for discernment on how to view things, how to handle situations. And that really stuck out to me a lot, just for discernment and in my prayer. I think that knowledge and wisdom is something that I always try to pray for every morning, but discernment is another form of that I think that word just carries a lot of weight to it. And yeah, so it for some reason that word has stuck with me a lot, and I don't know. That's just something I wanted to share with y'all that's on my heart in this shorter spurt of it. I'm, like I said, going to make a separate video going over everything that we talked about and everything that I learned in the hour and a half, almost 2 hour conversation that we had. And yeah, discernment. Think on it a little bit. Where can you ask God for more discernment in your life? Where can you receive his help and his wisdom in judging things in your life on certain decisions that you have before you? Think about it. So in business, we're often taught that that you have to spend money to make money. And while I don't think this is always true, because I mean, there's ways to go about growing your business without spending money. For example, organic marketing on social media, such as this. It can grow your client base, but it does not always come at the most efficient way, because a lot of your surface area for luck is up to the algorithm pushing your content, which strategically you can take advantage of, but I digress. You have to spend money to make money, and sometimes you're put in these situations where you have to decide, okay, this month's budget, I have this much space remaining, I have this much wiggle room remaining. Where am I going to allocate those funds to boost my business? Or do I just save it and let it sit in the bank and try and accumulate? And I think that if you truly want to be successful, you have to reinvest all of your profits for a large amount of time back into your business in order to really take off and exponentially grow. And it's interesting that this is a situation that I'm going through right now where it's okay, I have finite resources in terms of capital that I need to decide what I'm going to do with it. Do I save it and play it safe, or do I take the gamble and reinvest that money to work with somebody that will help grow me or is supposed to grow me and my brand and my company? And I think that it's just something that you have to battle with. And it's interesting that I'm going through this right now because my small group and I are reading through John chapter 6, which is where Jesus talks to Philip about feeding the 5,000. And he talks about how we have these 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, or forgive me for not remembering the exact numbers, but we have this very small amount of resources, and we're going to try and feed 5,000 people. And Philip gets asked by God, or by Jesus rather, how we're going to do it. And he says, we have these 5 loaves, 2 fish, that's all we have. And Jesus knows what he's going to do ahead of time, but he's testing Philip. He's testing his faith. He's testing his obedience and knowing that God has the answer. And I think it's interesting that that lines up to be what I'm reading right now with my small group while this is something that's on my mind. So it's it's a lot of and testing me with my faith that God will provide. And that, if I take this jump, if I take this risk, obviously praying on it, asking for discernment and guidance in this situation, just listening to what he has to say and, you know, just taking that risk, knowing that he will provide for me when it's necessary, as long as I have faith and stay obedient to him. And this isn't a one-to-one thing where I'm like trying to say that this is a one-to-one test where, you know, me and Philip are the same, but I think there's similarities, and it's funny that it lines up to be with what I'm reading. And so, what I'm trying to convey to y'all, trying to get across to y'all, is sometimes you have to spend money in order to make more money. Sometimes you have to take a risk in order to get a reward. And there's nothing wrong with that. But before you do it, you should always pray for discernment, which is understanding and guidance from God, and make sure that it's what He's telling you to do. Sometimes it's going to be a loud yes or no, sometimes it'll be a very quiet yes or no. But you just have to stay consistent, stay faithful, and you'll figure it out. But on the on the entrepreneur side of things, it's one of those decisions that you really have to decide on. You have to decide if this is going to be the right move for you and your business. You might be presented with an opportunity to outlay cash in order to grow your business with the promise to grow your business. And sometimes that can be very, very difficult to do because we naturally want to not give away our profit. We want to keep our profit and just continue doing what we're doing and do the safe route. But if you really want to build something special, you have to take the risk. If you look at any person who has had any level of success, at some point they took some risk. Most of the time it's going to be a lot of risk. And, typically the people who are the most successful have the highest appetite for risk. So, don't be afraid of risk. Don't be afraid of taking the next step. Because at the end of the day, and this is going to go a little bit further than the scope of this conversation that we're having, but at the end of the day, we have one life. You have one life to live. And why would you live it going halfway, going half effort, not going all in? And if you're willing to take the risk to do something that you're passionate about, why not go all the way in? And, if you're going to do it, go all in. Put all the chips on the table, put them all out there, and just go for it. So I don't know what decision you're facing right now, trouble, what's troublesome in your life right now, but I just want to encourage you to, first, of course, pray about it for any decision. I think you should always pray about it, but just take the risk, man. Just go for it. Why not? Why not go all in? So I'm gonna end the video off here. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found this valuable. I hope I was able to, show you a little bit of a glimpse into my life as an entrepreneur at the age of 25, running an accounting firm, taking an old business and turning it into a new age sort of content and sort of just new age business that understands the modern business landscape. So I enjoyed talking to y'all. As always, never stop your relentless pursuit of continuous improvement, and I look forward to talking to y'all again soon.